This video has been requested a lot, so I figured it was time to finally knock it out. Automation. This goes hand in hand with balance, so it only makes sense that we would end up here. Truth about automation is it can be used as a weapon because it can bring back dynamics that got lost along the way, especially with compressing and limiting. And most people just don't take the time to do it. It's a very tedious task, but I assure you, by the end of this episode, you'll understand the necessity of taking this extra step when it comes to your productions and your mixes. So what's happening, fam? Miami here with JST, and to be honest, there is a lot of times that automation takes a backseat to other more exciting tools. Plugins can be exciting, right? But you always have to think about the most practical tools that can make a big difference in your productions. So first off, what is automation? Automation, at least in the musical sense, is when you program your DAW to alter panning, volume, and plugin parameters to increase or decrease depending on the desired effect. For example, if I wanted to make my vocal louder when the chorus of a song hit, I would simply automate the vocal to get louder by selecting a point on the grid to make it happen. I know some might think this is really simple, but we have to start here before we move too far along. So let's see an example of that happening.
But you'd steal my last breath and wait for a chance to push me right off the edge. But you'd steal my last breath and wait for a chance to push me right.
That's one form of automation, and we'll be getting into all the types of it this episode, but what I really want to talk about first is plugin automation. This is one of the most powerful tools for creating unique effects in a song. It also makes it very hard for people to replicate if you come up with something interesting. Imagine you wanted to make it sound like someone is falling off of a cliff. It would be hard if you just threw reverb on a track because that wouldn't give you the feeling that anything went from no reflection points to many. So you would automate the parameters of a reverb to increase to get the desired result. Let's take this sentence. I can't hold on. My hand is slipping. No! No, it's kind of stupid, right? But let's throw that into the DAW and mess with it. I can't hold on. My hand is slipping. No! See how crazy that is? The power of plugin automation can create tons of effects that are used in mixes and even productions for movie soundtracks. Now let's see if we can do another fun effect. A long time ago, I did an audio clown video in which I showed clownish things that mixers do, but I did this weird effect to make myself sound really creepy by duplicating my voice and raising 2 semitones and lowering 2 semitones on it. I want to go back to that and make my voice sound like the voices are increasing. So let's try that.
Or I will haunt your dreams and make your snare sound like shit.
Whoa. This is the power of plugin automation, and by carefully selecting parameters, you can do such interesting things inside of a DAW that otherwise would be humanly impossible. If you like the sounds of the multiplied voices you just heard, just know that it was created with another new JST plugin, Howard Benson Vocals Multiplier. And if you want more info on this as well as any of our other plugins, please go to the link in the description below. But yeah, you can explore more about plugin automation on your own. Now I want to get into something that's a bit more misunderstood. Variation automation. Yeah, I just made that term up because I can't think of one that actually exists for that, but what it means is changing the automation of parts in a song that repeat. And this is to help stop your song from being static, and it gives new life to repeating parts. The most popular time to use something like this is in the chorus because everyone is quick to copy and paste it and call it a day. But that's not the way that you want to go. You've already set up your buses, so that makes this next part really easy. You're just gonna change the levels of the instruments when the chorus comes back around to make it feel new when you listen to it. So in this chorus coming up, you'll notice that everything seems pretty balanced, but we wanna raise the guitars and vocals the second time around to just give it some variance. Let's listen to an example of this before and after. This is a powerful way to make people think they're hearing something fresh when the chorus rolls around again. Other ways to do this are as simple as just turning up some harmonies or turning up cymbals to give it a more rock-styled feel. And this is a cheat code for being in the studio when a band wants to make unique performances for their choruses, but just don't have the budget for the time. But that's just one part of the equation, so we might as well get to another. I want to throw in the 1 dB trick since we're talking about choruses. Pretty rudimentary, don't kill the messenger. When you're going from verse to chorus, it can make the chorus seem way more powerful by just adjusting the master track's automation up by 1 dB. Doesn't always work, but it can be extremely effective, especially if you add like some type of, reversing effect going into it. In that example, it was totally necessary to bring life into that track. So using this with maybe a swell going into the chorus can really make your track slap hard. And now on to the next part of automation, panning. I've mentioned this a bit earlier in the series, but automating your tracks to pan things that are duplicated and creating the stereo field is a surefire way to make your track feel more dynamic. Let's take a guitar track going from the verses to the chorus. We're going to switch the panning from 75% on the verse to 100% on the chorus. Watch to see how much bigger the track becomes with this simple automation move. Actually, I'll show you what it's like panned 100% the whole time, and then the other way that shows some movement. That right there, that is what I'm talking about. It's hitting good now, and if I would have had the guitars panning the entire time, as you saw, it wouldn't have the same type of hit. Now, we're really getting somewhere in the world of automation, learning all the tips and tricks that make this one of your biggest weapons in the audio game. But I'm sure everyone wants to know the big one that's always on people's minds: vocal automation. Now, there have been plugins that try to do this, something like a Waves vocal writer that uses look ahead to see when the signal is coming in and brings the vocal to its appropriate level. Big tip, if you're gonna use it that way, put it at the end of your chain, especially if you're not using a limiter. Otherwise, it's looking ahead at something that didn't even reach the final stage of compression on the bus. Just my own thought process. But let's say that you wanna be real hands-on like the pros. We're gonna take a vocal take and automate it. Main things we're looking for: 1. Does a word get lost in the track? 2. Does a specific word need more emphasis? 3. Do we need to duck some sibilants? So try to pick out what you think is wrong on the first listen through. Then pay attention as it's corrected to complement the instrumental. You have to be very careful with vocal automation because we know that many will say vocals are the most important part of the song. Do you notice how much better that sounded as opposed to before? It's crazy the amount of vocal automation that goes into tracks, and I feel like one of my biggest downfalls early on was just ignoring this fact. I don't think you can afford to not do this anymore though. Even if you're the type that thinks if you limited or compress something right, you shouldn't have to worry about automation. It's just simply not true. Limiting and compression help to make it so you need minimal automation on vocals, but it's still something you need to look out for. And it also has something to do with the type of music you're gonna be doing. If you're working on indie music, it's gonna require a lot more attention to automation than a technical death metal track on vocals at least. But even people working on that type of music make sure that they're automating their vocals to make the performance feel very dynamic. So let's go over all these things that we went over, right? We went over plugin automation, variation automation, that's mine, you know what I'm saying, y'all can have that. 1 dB trick, vocal automation and panning automation. I know this video was long overdue, but I'm really happy I was able to finally knock this one out for you guys. The differences in these examples were pretty huge, right? I mean, that's gotta show how powerful this tool is. And on top of everything, it's free, dude. You don't have to pay a dime to automate. The only thing it's costing you is your time. And for the first few mixes, it's gonna be a lot of time. It's really tedious, but once you get it down, you're never gonna look back. So do you feel like I broke down everything you needed to know about automation? Are there some tricks that you use that I didn't talk about? Leave it in the comments below, and I will chat with you fine people like I always do. If you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, you only have to do it one time, and tap that bell for notifications so when a video drops, you know the location. Till next time, I am out of here. Mic drop. Except as engineers we know, I'd never really drop this thing, cause that'd get really expensive, even if it is a piece of shirt. I'm sure you're wondering where my SM57 is. Well, I gave it to Bay to record some vocals. See you guys later.